This is Loren Lockman, the supervisor, the person who founded the Tanglewood Wellness Center in quote unquote Costa Rica. I would like to do an investigation here. I mean, the investigation is already done, but I'd like to go through my investigation step by step. When I started waking up, I searched for information like most people do. They look for information, trying to see who knows what to help them in the process of waking up. Because at the end of the day, it's not about just health. It's about your overall quest beyond this planet. And health is an important part of that quest to higher knowledge. When you have people who are helping you, you can get pretty far. When you have people who are damaging or twisting information, then that holds us back. One thing that we must be cognizant of is the fact that the vast majority, if not all of them, at this point in my awareness, of the so-called experts, even in the alternative media such as the internet, like Loren Lockman, are frauds. They don't tell absolute truth. And I like to point out that they are doing it on purpose. Loren Lockman, Lockman, is by no doubt, in my mind, not someone to trust. He is not someone I would trust. I would turn my back to. From personal experience, when I started fasting, I started with juice fasting. After 2.5 weeks of the major parasites in me, I have one major parasite left that has divided itself. Okay, in any case, I've made videos about that. When I started, I drank juice. And the juice was not fermented, so it was juice with all the nutrients / the sugar inside, quote unquote natural sugar. By the way, parasites like sugar, whether it's natural or not. That's what they like. I'm not saying to stop eating fruit or anything like that. I'm just saying that just pay attention. The facts are the facts. Not everything is an opinion. With your own experience and experiments, you will find out who is lying at the intuitive level and who is just plainly wrong, and Lockman is lying. I'm going to take you through some evidences here so that hopefully, if you are open-minded enough, you'll see what I'm talking about. I was not going to do a video on Loren Lockman because I lost interest. I didn't think he was that important enough for me to even go into, because once I made a comment on his YouTube. I watched pretty much all his videos, and he just gave me some really bad advice. That was when I was going through my fasting, including water fasting, dry fasting, and especially when I was doing the all raw food, which I later gave up. And by the way, I'm not saying that one method is the best way, because everybody's body at the stage of development or detoxification is different. Even more important, everyone's determination at the light level, the soul level, is different. If I were to tell you that according to the the clinic examination, I should not have taken Iboga, perhaps. Well, in any case, that examination indicated that I should not have taken Iboga because my heart rate was too weak, according to the doctor. But my intuition told me that what was causing this was the fact that was the parasites. And in my mind, I didn't, at that point, I had so much confidence that whatever the doctor was reading was merely the parasite playing with my heart. So I took Iboga. I took a full dose of it, despite having an abnormal heart beat. And that was in, I don't remember. I think it was 2013. But going back to the story, I hope what you get out of this is the fact that eventually you have to trust your own intuition, not these so-called frauds masquerading as experts. I would not be shocked if Loren Lockman is a controlled opposition agent. We'll get into that a little later. But in any case, let's look at some specifics about Loren. This gets good. You gotta stay for the whole show here because it gets good. Okay, let's start with a video. Okay, this is not the video that I want to start with. No, let's not do the video. Let's do... Yes, let's do the video. Let's do the video. Okay, so let's do the video. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's talk about juicing. Let's talk about juicing. And then let's focus on juicing for now. That is video 4. It says another view.
Good morning, it's Loren Lockman coming to you from the Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica. I've been asked this morning to talk a little bit about juicing. Is juicing okay? Is juicing as helpful as people say it is? I was reading somewhere this morning, someone was saying that because of the condition of our depleted soils, and therefore the condition of our produce, we must juice in order to get what we need. And so that's one viewpoint, and it may seem reasonable to some people. Certainly there's no question that soils are depleted through conventional farming practices, and that if you're buying conventional produce, you are not getting much value for your dollar. But I hope you're not buying conventional produce, not if you care about your health. If you care about your health, you want to do better than that, and buy organic produce, or buy stuff that you're growing yourself, or you know somebody who is, whether it's certified.
Okay, let's skip ahead to the main point here. When he talks about over-concentrated nutrients when juicing. 1 minute and 38 seconds.
Start by talking about juicing. First of all, when we juice something, we are creating an end product which is very concentrated. In fact, I would say overly concentrated. And I've probably shared this brief little story with you before, but...
Okay, so let's just stress that. He is saying, and he said that when we juice, we produce an overly concentrated product. When we juice, the juice that we get out of the processed thing is over-concentrated. Over-concentrated, meaning we have more nutrients and vitamins and protein than we actually need. And he said, in fact, well, I just said it.
It's the one about the woman I was talking to.
He's giving an example here about an orange woman, a woman who drank too much carrot juice.
Came up to approach me and asked me some questions after a lecture, and I looked at her and said, "You drink a lot of carrot juice, don't you?" And she said, "Yeah." "How'd you know?" And I said, "Well, you're orange." Okay? Her skin was orange, like not quite as bright as these flowers, but it was a distinctive orange color. She told me that's because she was detoxifying, and that's when I pointed out that none of the many people I've taken through this incredibly powerful detoxification process have ever turned orange. So what was going on there wasn't detoxification of what was in her body. It was the fact that her body was actually forced to push these carotenes through her skin because her liver was probably incapable of doing the job. When we are juicing, we're creating overly concentrated substances. Now,
again, we are creating overly concentrated substances.
Now, there's a belief in our culture that many people fall prey to. And that belief is that if something is good for us, more must be better.
More must be better.
Right? Let's get as much as we can.
Let's get more as we can of the good stuff.
The idea of nutrition often. Let's consume these things, we get as much of this and as much of that as possible. But consider for a second, well, we've talked about the analogy of the plant, right? Does the plant benefit from getting more water? No. How about more sunlight? No. The plant?
Actually, what the plant does, the plant stores, at least as I remember it, the human body stores what it needs. And if I remember correctly, the plant also stores what it doesn't use. Out of pure genius, out of pure wisdom. And you store what you could use later. So that when you need something, you don't have to run around trying to find it. You store it, you save something for later. It makes sense. But Loren wants us to think that we only get exactly what we need at that time. And then when we need something else, we run around trying to find it.
Benefits from getting exactly what it needs in exactly the right concentrations. And we're no different. When we consume more carotenes than the body was designed to take in, and how was the body designed to take in carotenes? Through whole foods, through quantities of food that we would actually sit down and eat. So for instance, we would eat carrots. Everyone here eaten carrots at some point? How many? How many large carrots at one time? One, maybe two. How many in a big glass of carrot juice? A lot more than that. 4, 5, 6, 8.
Yeah, but juice, the nutrients in juice are easier to process because it's liquid. Easier to process and digest than hard food. Carrots, if you eat it whole, is a lot harder to process because it's hard food. Anything hard is harder to deal with than anything soft. This is common sense, Loren.
No one would eat that many. Okay?
Of course they wouldn't eat it because it's hard. The body, it's more work. It's less work to put something that's soft in the body than something that's not.
Actually, when we're juicing, we're taking in concentrations of nutrients that our bodies were never intended to deal with.
Okay, alright, so if you think about that, at some level, that seems to make sense, right? It seems to make sense that we are, okay, so too much. But, alright. I want to finish that section off because when somebody says something at a certain level, it seems to make sense. But if you look at it from another perspective, it doesn't make any sense. I'll just say now. We don't need to eat. The only reason why we eat is because we are in hell. We are in hell, and in hell, our energy is depleted, constantly depleted. We have parasites in our body. Our awareness is lowered because there are entities being thrown at us, non-physical entities on top of the planet, and things like that. That seems like unbelievable. Is it no wonder that some people don't realize that they are eternal? Is it no wonder that some people think that they have to follow a certain religion to get to heaven? No wonder that some people have to listen to frauds like this.
And all we're doing is creating more work. Now, what if someone had...
We're creating more work. So as I understand it, liquids are easier to process, but we're creating more work. Okay. But the work is far more if it were physical. The work is far more, if you're right, Lockman, the work that's created is far more if it were physical. Physical foods such as fruits and vegetables are far more work than liquids or juice. So, in this video, Mr. Lockman, Mr. Eric Lockman, said that juicing creates overly concentrated nutrients, and it creates more work for the body in terms of digestion and so forth. Listen as to how he flips that around and how he flip-flops in the next video. The title is What Happens to Food When It's Processed.
Food, and let me clarify. Well, the processing of food, and let me clarify, because we think of processed foods as packaged foods, and that's fair, that's reasonable. Those foods have been through some kind of a process, but putting produce through a machine is processing. In fact, way back when I used to cook, I went and bought myself a Cuisinart, sometimes called a food processor.
Okay, so processing food includes juicing, because the way I understand it, you're using a machine that's using force, though it's not nearly as bad as cooking.
It's processing food. It's chopping it in little tiny pieces. And one of the first things that begins to happen when we do that is we begin to oxidize everything. Right? So
we lose oxygen. In one of his videos, Mr. Lockman talks about eating orange layer by layer so that you don't lose oxygen. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, is this a religion? So make sure that you don't take each slice of the orange apart too soon, because it might lose oxygen. By God, if that's not a religion, I don't know what is. Okay, freedom is love, not restricting ourselves to little unintelligent rules like these. Let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's make sure we know we're back on process here, on target here. I said process because I was looking at the words here. Processed food. So when you process your food, you lose nutrients. That's what he's saying.
Processing food means that we're losing nutrition.
Okay. I didn't say it. He said it. Processing food means we're losing nutrition. Processing food means we're losing nutrition. Do you want to hear it again? He said it.
Processing food means that we're losing nutrition.
Again. Let's do it again, because repetition helps us to remember.
So processing food means that we're losing nutrition.
All right. I don't think I need to go back to the last video, because in the last video he said that when we juice, we are creating over-concentrated nutrients slash things that our body overproducing what's good for us. That was the last video for it. In this video, he flip-flops and he says that when we process or juice fruits and vegetables, we're losing. So are we creating too much, or are we losing it through juicing? You catch that? What is he saying? He's flip-flopping.
Processing food often means that we are encouraging ourselves to consume that food without actually processing it the one way that we should be, which is...
Who says the way we should be? When you process things through your teeth, it's still force or violence. Okay? So you saying this is better because what? The machine is faster. There's still some force. At a greater level, we're gonna bring this make the connection that I was trying to make earlier. When someone presents information, unless they presented a higher level of love, their information will always be at a level that is not congruent with the highest level of love, source consciousness. So, depending on where a person is, the person is not going to be able to get at the higher level of awareness. We don't need to eat. The only reason why we eat is because we're in hell. And all of us are in hell. Unless you go to a higher level of awareness, like an ET awareness, then eating is pretty much necessary. Because we have so many distractions, physical and non-physical. So we eat to stay alive. We eat because we have darkness inside, parasite. When we come into this realm, we understand that we would be facing obstacles. We lower our energy so that we can function. But ultimately, the soul does not require food, quote unquote food, because the soul has its own source of energy. So, seeing this from a lighter perspective, a higher perspective of love, food is not required. So all this about fermented food, which he talks about earlier, and I'll get into that later, is only from levels and layers of understanding. And when you heard me say that he flip-flops, analyze that carefully. This is a dangerous man, killing people, or perhaps letting people die. You don't believe me? Keep watching. We're going to look at the next video, which is on fermentation, which connects back to this whole juicing, creating concentrated nutrients. This is video 6.
Anybody know who started promoting vinegar as being healthy for you? Paul Bragg, you know what he sold? Vinegar. Someone says this is something you need and they happen to offer it to you, you have every right to be skeptical. Maybe he's just trying to sell something. It's not a miracle substance. It's a toxic poison that kills cells on contact. I wouldn't ever use it personally.
You get you can ferment things yourself, and you can get benefits of fermented food. Where is he getting this idea that this is a toxin? You can't kill something that doesn't have enough power. What it does is it kills the bad cells on contact, of course. So all I can offer you is for you to do your own experiments, because when I did my own experiments, I realized that Loren was bullshitting me, because he responded to the comment that I made on his YouTube website, website. At that time, I was doing the fruit diet, and I was constantly going to the bathroom because there was too much sugar in my blood. At that time, I wasn't taking in any salt because I was listening to his stupid advice, dangerous advice, deadly advice. Once I learned that real salt was okay. Salt with sugar, salt with color, whether gray salt or Himalayan. I grew up on gray salt, so Himalayan will come much later. So I got white salt is absolutely no good for you. I started at that point when I got too skinny after fasting for 7 days. I did a water fast. I did a juice fast, as I mentioned earlier. I did several several dry fasting, 7-day dry fasting, several, within a span of a year and a half. Because my goals were not of this world. I wanted to go home. More importantly, I wanted to feel peace. I wanted to feel that energy that I felt. That was beyond eating. In 2008, 2009. I once posed the question, do we need to eat? And my deeper, clearer soul's energy answer was, you already know the answer to that. We don't need to eat. It was as if I were entertaining a question at the mind level. When we get stronger, we won't need to eat. We eat out of pure being here on this planet, out of enjoyment. So all this is all relative, depending on how strong you are. Fermented food. Is it true that it's concentrated? Absolutely. Is it true that something that's concentrated is a force? True. Do we have a lot of parasites in our body? Dark energy in our body? Yes. Would some of us benefit from the concentrated elements of these nutrients? Absolutely. I haven't seen a single person die of concentrated fermented food. But in the case of Loren's devices, there has been cases of death. Keep watching.
I don't think there's any benefit to it. There's no reason to use it. So let's go back to sauerkraut. First of all, people promote sauerkraut and similar products because of the natural probiotics. There are bacteria in these foods that and there was a caller, and most people are like, yeah, intelligent listeners. And there was a caller, and most people are like, yeah, it makes sense. Intelligent listeners. This show had a lot of. Washington D.C. is a pretty well educated market. This show had a lot of intelligent listeners, and there was a caller, and most people are like, yeah, it makes sense. This caller calls in, and a woman says, I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm pregnant and need to drink milk so I can make milk.
Okay. He's actually making a he's mocking her, but he's right. You don't need to drink milk per se to produce milk in your breast. You could take in the elements that would help you produce milk, breast milk. You need to put things in your body that will help you produce breast milk. Maybe it's coconut, maybe it's whatever, but you need to put things in. You don't necessarily need to drink cow's milk to do it. He's mocking this, but something is needed to produce the outcome.
Do cows drink milk to make milk?
No, what cows do is they eat the necessary nutrients that are found in grass to produce milk. There are elements, trace elements of things that produces milk. It doesn't have to be cow's milk. It could be maybe wheatgrass. It could be maybe coconut. But you need to put something in to produce something that's similar. So don't get it twisted, Lockman. Don't lock yourself into frequency. That's not higher intelligence.
How about sheep? How about goats? How about any other mammal?
Any other mammals that put in things that will help them produce the milk. Okay? If you look at what they eat, there are elements that help them produce the milk.
And yet human beings, many of them believe, if you're pregnant and you're going to breastfeed, you have to be drinking milk.
I don't.
Okay. Well, there's nothing, we don't necessarily need to consume something in order to have it in our body.
We don't necessarily need to consume something in order to have it in our body. Okay, if you're thinking like that, Lockman, it's because our body produces things based on what we put in it. We don't need to put sugar in our body because there are pieces of sweetness and things that will help us produce sweet things, sugar. So I don't necessarily need to put in I don't necessarily need to eat sugar to have sugar in my body. I could drink coconut milk. I can drink cashew milk because there's sweetness in it, and I could have that sugar energy.
Okay, because the probiotics, yes, these bacteria, they're as I mentioned the other day, they're going to come from breast milk, or they're going to come from our fruits and vegetables.
Yes, they can come from our food, fruits and vegetables, things we put in our body. This is what he is denying. We can put things in our body and they can produce what we want.
Don't necessarily need a concentrated source of them. And when
True, we don't necessarily need too much of a concentrated source. But having a concentrated source helps us to destroy bacteria and kick them out. Because darkness will not leave involuntarily. Does it hurt to have concentrated things? No. Does the body may work hard? Under your advice of eating raw food, the body works harder for raw food because it's physical. You can't deny this. Deny it, as you might. Sure you would. But anything that's physical requires more work. That's what we call the physical world. The physical world requires more work than the lucid, more fluid world.
Concentrated source of them, we might actually create some issues.
You might create issues by eating raw food. Even though raw food is much, 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 much better than eating cooked food. Everything works in terms of increasing energy. There's a thing called diminishing negativity. Try to be perfect in this world, good luck. This is hell. Perfection. is not really achievable unless you want to suffer a lot. You just keep improving.
So I don't believe that in most cases it's necessary for us to do this.
I don't really care what you believe because you lied to me. I kept losing weight. You told me not to put any salt in my body. You should have said, don't put white salt in my body. When I stopped listening to you, in my raw food diet, that's when I started gaining the weight back. But yet, when I went online, you just kept lying, and I can read your energy. Lockman is full of shit.
Maybe cases.
And he is an asshole.
Situations where somebody is so out of balance, maybe they're going to benefit. You just don't want to be really, really careful. People implant.
Okay, enough of this video. This guy's full of shit. He already flip-flopped, saying that juicing creates concentrated nutrients, and then he later says processing food through juicing diminishes the nutrients. So which is it? Is it diminishing nutrients or creating too much nutrients? Okay, and then here, fermented food, I don't even know what the hell he's saying. Now, okay, so another video he talks about the glycemic index, how natural sugar and fruit, dude, if you do your own experiments, you know that parasites like sugar. The goal here is not to either necessarily take like a side of like water juicing versus you just keep improving. You're happy. Listen, if water juice fasting works for you, you do it for a while, and then you ask your question, you look up literal happening in Mexico, and then you keep improving. It's not matter. It's just not a moral thing here. This is more of trying to help keep going up. But this guy's locked in, Lockman, and someone who seems to know a lot, locked in. And people like this, I get the feeling that they're doing it on purpose, part of the control system. I would not be shocked if you were part of the control system. The glycemic index, supposedly natural, quote unquote natural fruit and vegetables have lower glycemic index. Dude, parasites, I'm not even bothered showing the video on a glycemic index because parasites, like, if you do your own experiments, eventually you would be able to communicate with your own parasite, dark entities such as demons, which whatever you want to call them, just dark light. Every night, the light, the darkness that remains inside, plays games. Okay, let's go to specifics about how this guy deceives. He's doing the eye one and the one eye symbol. Maybe it's a demonic entity in eyes. I don't. Okay, so let's look at specifics about how people have suffered under his deception and death. Let's look at not the Montreal girl, but let's see. No, that's not it. Okay, let's look at the something that I came across. So when I came across this, is called Quack Whack: Your Guide to Quackery, Health Fraud, and Intelligent Decisions. Okay, so when I saw this, I was a little skeptical. I wasn't sure the veracity of this, so I kept researching, and after a while, I knew this was true. Okay, unlicensed practitioners cited after death of diabetic patient, written by Stephen Barrett, MD, medical doctor. The Maryland Board of Physicians has issued cease and desist orders against Loren Lockman and Timothy Trader for practicing medicine without a license and representing to the public that they were authorized to practice medicine. Lockman was fined $320,000 for 7 violations, each of which reflected what had happened to one client. Trader was fined $70,000 for violations related to 2 counts of clients. Documents in the case indicates that Lockman founded the Tanglewood Wellness Center, which operated in Bethesda and then in Thurmont, Maryland. Maryland. I didn't know that. In 2005, he fled to Panama and relocated his facility. I didn't know that either. He fled to Panama. Lockman employed Trader in 2003 and 2004. The pair advocated a raw food diet and administered water-only fasting for lengthy periods for people whose health conditions were worsened or could have been worsened by such fasting. They also discouraged the use of prescribed medication. I discourage that too, unless under extreme cases. Both conducted themselves in a manner that suggested that they were trained health professionals, even though they were not. Okay, let's just say here that people are not equally as strong. This is about how strong you are light-wise. People have parasites inside the body. They're not even aware of this. They're not even aware of it. People are, depending on what the soul's journey is, soul, light, soul, non-physical, light in the body. The soul's journey is, they are working on different things. And some people have allowed themselves to be overwhelmed by strong demons, quote-unquote demons as I call them, and therefore they are not as able to handle certain things. So fasting on water for 30 days, which I would never do. I think it's too hard. I prefer 7-day dry fasting, because even though it may seem harder, at least in 7 days you're done. But that's my choice. But some people prefer water fasting, which is fine. I think it's okay to try different modalities that helps you, because people's bodies are different because of the soul's journey. In such cases, recognizing that people are not all strong, have the same strength, in the universe where there's so much negativity, looking for perfection is not ideal. You just keep trying, getting to higher and higher levels. And when you do that, you find that it's easier to give up things like, hard food, or consume very little of it that will benefit you in the long run, returning to source. But Loren doesn't see it that way. He's locked in. Loren Lockman. Let me continue reading here. So he was fined $320,000, and his partner, worker, or whatever, was fined $70,000 after somebody died. Documents in the case indicates that Lockman found... Okay, I read that already. So he was actually in Maryland. Documents in the case further indicate that Trader referred to himself as a retired neuropath. Retired. In the fatal case, deadly, he advised a 22-year-old woman with insulin-dependent diabetics to stop taking her insulin and undergo a water-only fast. After she became acutely ill with diabetic ketoacidosis, he administered huge amounts of insulin, but she lost consciousness and died soon afterwards. Insulin alone is not sufficient treatment for diabetic. Okay, so you get the point here. So that's what Loren does. Being stubborn, it's just either stupidity or just being an asshole. When you know that people have different needs, you're being a serious dark light. Again, here's a picture of Loren. This might be a demonic eye here, because this eye closes different than the other. This right eye closes like he's possessed. We all have parasites inside, but his is probably darker. Alright, look, we're moving on to the next evidence here. Rip-off report. Loren Lockman, Tanglewood Wellness Center, deceptive and misleading claims, promises, and adverts. lacks valid credentials and competency. I don't even care about his credentials. I care about his lack of truthfulness. When I spoke with Mr. Lockman, maybe I should make this bigger, about purchasing a fasting package at his center in Panama. Panama! I didn't even know he was in Panama. In Panama before Costa Rica. In which I verified through other research he was in Panama. Later relocated in Costa Rica, but he never said that in any of his videos, unless I missed it, but I doubt it. In Panama, we had a discussion. When I spoke with Mr. Lockman about purchasing a fasting package at his center in Panama, we had a discussion about what was available at the center and what I could expect for my money. I was also told that if I paid up front, I would lock in the rate forever, quote unquote, and receive a discount. In regards to the center, I was advised that there would be morning meditation classes, fresh organic fruit and produce. I can't. Intelligent lectures regarding health. This is obviously opinion, but clean linens, exercise program during after the initial refeeding period. He also said they stressed high intensity interval I attended my fast in 2011. The reality was no meditation classes at all. Produce was frequently not organic. Oh shoot. And sometimes purchased from local grocery stores in town. Oh, somebody stopped me. From brochures, you are under the impression the food comes from local farmers or fruit trees on the on the property. He angers quickly if you have any questions about his lectures, or rather any questions about his responses to your questions. He would often BS bullshit and say anything to support his arguments. Also, frequently brags about himself. Towels were moldy. Oh no, this is too much. Towels that were moldy and smelled strongly, which is quite stressful in a fasted state. Linens and blankets also had stains. I need to stop. Maybe I had too much kombucha. Loren would not agree with this kombucha. Maybe because it has too much vinegar in it. Anyway, I think you get the point. Here's a picture, just in case you were confused that this was about Loren. Here's a picture, Loren. This is the guy we're talking about that appears in videos. Right underneath the article, yes indeed it is Loren in Panama, located to Costa Rica. Alright, let's go on with the last video here. 2 videos more. Oh, this is gonna be a long video. Okay, so let's go to the Montreal girl talking about not going to the Tanglewood Center.
Hey guys, this is Bert from Montreal Healthy Girl. Today I'm doing a video in honor of several other people and myself based on the Tanglewood experience that we had during the water fast. And I've done a lot of videos about water fasting and what my personal experience was, but I haven't done this video yet, and there's a few reasons for it. For one, I wanted to do a little bit more research and to reach out to other people that were at the fasting center at the same time as me and see what their experiences were in the months that followed the fast. I also wanted to do a lot more research about the water pH at the fasting center and just basically to check out liability. I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous, as other people from my fasting group are nervous to make a video like this, so I want to do this video to honor them in case they are too scared to do a video like this. I know that whenever you do an honest opinion video, it can often be misinterpreted as like slanderous.
Yes, it can, but it's okay, Montreal girl. In fact, you were too nice on him. Okay? Slander. That's because people want to go toward the darkness. They lie to themselves. They don't want to face, they don't want the hard truth, the deep truth. Therefore, they lie to themselves. But it's okay.
Really don't want this to be the case. I just want to share the honest experience of what I lived at the Tanglewood Wellness Center to help other people to make a really educated decision about whether or not they want to take on a long fast like that. Basically, what I'm gonna start by saying is that I did not like my experience at the Tanglewood Wellness Center. My opinion of that place is that it is not an ideal healing environment. It is not a suitable healing environment. I was not happy with my fasting supervisor or the way he reacted under crisis, and there was a lot of crisis in the time that I was there. So there's a few things that I want to talk about. I want to start by saying that I didn't realize in all the many months after I was sick from water fasting that was a normal. I had done a lot of research and I didn't realize that was a normal part of water fasting. I was still shocked as to why I went through all of those things. And after reaching out to about 6 other people at our fasting group out of 15, the ones I've gotten in contact with, all of them have had similar experiences. So the losing of the hair, the retaining water, metabolic damage, trouble losing or gaining weight, severe dehydration, low energy, not thriving on the after diet protocol that we've been put on, the high fruit diet. And so I think that a big part of it is the fact that the water pH at the Tanglewood Wellness Center is 4.4 or 4.6, I believe, which is astronomical. It's terrible. That is extremely acidic, a coffee is a pH of 5. And water like that won't make it into the cell, especially when your body is in autolysis, when it's eating through its own fat storages and already not taking in any alkalizing minerals or any nutrients. So your body's eating toxicity from within itself, which is usually acidic residues and undesirable body tissues and all that stuff. And you're drinking acidic water, so you're assaulting yourself in every way possible. And that water doesn't enter your cells, so you end up horribly dehydrated. Like at that fast, I was drinking water like it was my job. I was taking a sip every minute. I couldn't even take a nap when I was exhausted because I had to keep drinking water because my blood volume was really low. I felt like I was gonna faint. I felt terrible. I had no energy, and I was so dehydrated when we was doing my hydration tests. At one point, my blood volume hydration test was 13. If it goes down to 11, you have to be rushed to a hospital and put on IV. So my roommate, she went down to 11 one day, and we were drinking liters and liters of water a day. So I think that there's something wrong with the water there. And when I confronted my fasting supervisor, Mr. Loren Lockman, about the fact that the water pH was really low in the months that followed, he told me that had nothing to do with my case, that I was a unique case, that my body must have been very toxic, that maybe I needed to fast again. And that it was really like he hadn't seen a case like this in his whole career and blah, 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 whatever else. So having spoken now to several other people from the fasting center since, they all experienced very similar things. They were all dehydrated. They all had similar issues with regaining minerals afterwards and with bloating and just all kinds of after effects that I think are not necessarily normal to fasting. And may have had to do with the fact that we were all in severe acidosis from the water. I also did a video about the fact that...
Okay, I think you get the gist of this. I went to get more kombucha. Alright, there's another video that I saw that might be helpful to some people here.
Hi Smarties, it's Alicia, the Detox Advisor, and I'm giving you an update. It's been 3 months after my 30-day water fast down at Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica with Loren Lockman. And I did a 30-day water fast with a 2-week refeeding down there with fruit. And then I continued with a mostly raw, organic, vegan diet consisting mostly of fruit and salads with a little bit of seeds and hummus and the occasional sashimi. So I call it raw without rules. That's how I live life, is without rules, but also based on my own intuition and not from what I hear from any rules of other people. Today,
You mean any bullshit rules that your intuition tells you that you know you can sense is lying? Like Loren Lockman? Yes.
I had an experience I'd like to share with you. I haven't given you an update. I wanted to see how it went, and so it's my 3-month period, and I noticed that I was feeling my digestion getting backed up and very sluggish over these 3 months. And so today I decided to go get a colonic, which is actually against what Loren Lockman lectures and preaches, that we don't need colonics and enemas, and they could even be harmful. Well, what is helpful to one person may not work for another.
Because we are all at different levels of detox and getting back to the grand light, source consciousness. Certain things don't work for certain people because some people are at different levels. And certain things work better because people are at different levels. This is not complicated. If I were to go back to eating raw food, that would be worse for me. Because since 2017, I've eaten hard food for 2 months. If I were to go backwards with the parasite in my body, I would be harmed. So it depends where you are. Yes.
So the way I teach people on how to heal yourself is to know your own individual condition, your own individual cause.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. You know your own individual situation and cause.
And to keep tuning into your body.
Keep tuning into your soul, even more important than your body, your soul. Okay, your body is important. It's both.
Discover what you need, not what has worked for other people. So over the last 20 years, I have researched and experimented and experienced over 50 different detox methods from around the world. And at each stage of my own healing journey and transformation, I needed something different, and my body did change. So every body is different, and every body changes. And you may need something different along the way.
Everybody changes. Everybody improves or degrades. Along the way, as you improve, you might need something different. Listen to how you feel, especially if you feel better, then maybe you want to do more of that thing. And if you want to go up and higher, then you switch a little bit. Because what's the difference between your higher self and my higher self? Anyone who's watching this video? None. Because the highest of your highest is my highest, because we are smart enough, smarter than anything that can be imagined. We know that the sexiness of peace, of feeling good, is beyond anything.
So it's important to work with someone on what's going on in your body, what you need, and to look at everything in your life. The movie Food Matters, well, my motto is everything matters. It's not only the food, but it's your thoughts, and your beliefs, and your behaviors, and your environment.
Okay, so she said it's not just the food, it's your thoughts and behaviors and programming. I had a comment yesterday. This guy wanted to waste my time. I answered. I made 1 or 2 comments and that was it. People want to waste time. Why would you? This is a video that I made before I was given a strike on YouTube for nudity. This is bullshit, of course, because it was the Hillary Swank video, which had no nudity, just normal pictures. Considering what YouTube allows, and I can give you evidence if you like, but it doesn't really matter. I think it was a title that pissed him off. Hillary spanked. Actually, it was funny. YouTube, your team is under investigation, and it would put on whether it's Patreon or a new channel. Okay? Because I'm not going to give you a chance to destroy the Triple Cross. Okay? If I get one more strike, I won't post anything about the transgender stuff anymore. But in any case, we know you're full of shit. Going back, trust your instincts.
Where you live, what works for you energetically, any repressed emotions that are affecting your digestion, and
Okay, so I almost forgot. Maybe because I'm drinking kombucha and I'm feeling good. So it's more than just a physical. Repressed emotions and brainwashing and programming by the system. Transgender. Before we were born, sometimes parasites were put on our body before we were born to accept bullshit and conditioning. Signals sent from parasites inside our body, signals sent for us to consume certain foods. It's all signals. It's like, oh, I feel like I feel. It's always I feel. It's not I am hungry. This is where language comes in. You're not hungry. You feel hungry. You're not. Language is important. Okay, so the reason why I do these transvestigations, because knowing the truth help us heal at levels that we might not be aware of at the mind level. So here what she's saying is that there are layers of healing that goes beyond the physical.
even seeing what's aligned with the work that you're doing in the world, or if you're not listening to your heart's calling. So I've experienced all of this. I have designed my own destiny and my detox for smarties. I have outlined very simple and easy steps to be able to heal yourself from any physical and mental condition and design your own destiny to enjoy life. So back to what I discovered today, it's the elimination to illumination. I needed that colonic. Despite what Loren was saying about colonics, I had to listen to my own body. My body was screaming for help of flushing this stuff out. So I went and I got this colonic, and I was shocked at the massive amount of black shit that came out. It was...
That's just dark energy.
Felt amazing. But
good for you, girl.
Anyway, it's illuminating to see, and also just empowering to feel like I knew what was best for my own body, and I want to empower you to do the same. So my cause could be many things. It could have been the water fast itself, because I didn't use my digestive system for 30 days. There's other theories that says it should repair itself because of that, or restore it and be stronger. Well, maybe mine didn't, and maybe mine was more sluggish afterwards, or maybe it's this root canal that I'm getting removed and extracted finally. And this root canal that I had years ago is actually related to the large intestine and lung meridian, so it could be affecting how my whole digestive system works in my intestines. So we will see, and I will report on that after I get it extracted next week. And you can find me at thedetoxadvisor.com. I'm creating a whole new website to offer highly personalized consultations, classes, and also a member portion of the website.
Okay, I let that run because I am using her video. I want to give her credit. Let that run so you can find her if you are interested. I am using her video. What she said here in this video is pretty dead on. So, Loren Eric Lockman is someone who I would not turn my back to. So I think I've said enough. I'm going to end this video here. And I will say, please, the higher you go, please trust your intuition. Because your intuition is, the higher you go, same as source consciousness. Same as mine, same as yours, because we all want the same thing. Peace. The highest of all energy is pure sexiness. It has nothing to do with eating food and deriving pleasure from it, or having sex, physical sex. The highest energy is peace. The more peace you feel, the more you will understand this. The more you invite people like this into your life, the more they will rob you of your ultimate energy, and you will fall prey, a fool, to their games. Loren Lockman is a fraud, and I would not be shocked if he were a controlled opposition. Good luck. Back to source consciousness. I am the Triple Cross. Have a good evening.